Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. In this video, we're going to be going over 5 crafting flips that you can do in order to make a ton of gold in patch 9.1.5 in just the current state of the game. Now, the term crafting flip is a little bit weird. Of course, you can consider just any type of crafted item, simply a crafted item, and it's not much of a flip. But what I mean by this is basically a recipe that only requires, one type of item, super simple to do, and it creates another item which sells for a lot more. So basically, this is just a very simple craft that only needs one item to complete it. And in hopes of that at least one of these things will be useful to you watching. So if you're watching and you're a beginner, hopefully you will be able to walk away with one positive thing. I have picked each category from a different profession. So we're going over 5 items today, and each item is from a different profession, so we will be covering 5 professions. So hopefully this makes it so, let's say you only have 2 professions, hopefully you have at least one of these 5s, so this video can help you out. But without further ado, if you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comments down below. Also, if you have any good advice or ideas or an item that I possibly did not include, feel free to also leave that in the comments. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we will get right into this. So the first items that I'm going to be talking about is the shaded stone. So this is a simple item. It is gathered through just mining. It's basically like every time somebody gets a node, the offhand is shaded stone, and the reason why these are so awesome is because these create the shaded waystone as well as the shaded sharpening stone. Now, primarily we are focusing on this item right here. It is simply just 2 shaded stones, and it creates a single shaded sharpening stone. The reason why this is so awesome is because you learn this just by leveling up blacksmithing. You do not even need to max it out. You just have to learn up to the point, which I think is like level 35. However, the trainer will confirm that. And all you have to do is purchase shaded stones, create it into these, and sell these on the auction house. The reason people need these is because it is basically a potion for your weapon. It is just a attack power increase for your weapon. It's a weapon mod. So any type of raider, mythic, even PvP, and also with the mage tower, it is also best in slot at the moment. So sales are pretty awesome. As you can see, I sold some less than 24 hours ago, and actually I have some that I still need to loot in my mailbox right now. Now, the one thing I do want to mention about this item is that shaded stone prices vary a lot. For example, just earlier today on stream, as you can see 5 hours ago, I purchased some for around 97 silver. Out of the 15,000 shaded stones I have, my average buy price is about 97 silver or less than 1 gold. However, if we look up the item now, you can see that the current item is at 3 gold. And that's simply because, just 5 hours ago, I bought out 4,000 of it at a super cheap price. Also, looking at market value, as you can see, on average on this server, it goes for 1 gold. The price is just inflated right now. And this will be a solid lesson for everything else that I'm showing you today. If you guys are taking a look at these methods and seeing if it's good on your server, you do have to be careful because a lot of these flips are very, not seasonal, but it can change every single day. What I mean by this is just 5 hours ago, this flip was super good, and now it's not. However, in the morning we log on, and possibly that price is back at 1 gold. So if you check on your server and let's say you're in the same boat, shaded stone is at that 3 gold mark and there's no profit to be made, definitely check back within a few hours or, reset day or another day and just keep this in the back of your mind because if you can ever score a deal, you can definitely make a lot of gold. But like I said before, we craft these and even at this price, you can still make profit on my realm. At the moment, since you need 2 shaded stone, I purchased them at less than a gold a piece. It's less than 2 gold crafting cost, and I can sell them for, about 15 gold a piece at the moment. But even if we bought at this price right now, it would only cost us 5 gold, which still brings us a profit. Of course, I also sell the weight stone. The reason why I am not talking about it specifically is that it does also require a piece of lightless silk, so that is not always, beneficial or profitable on your server, but as long as these are both profitable, very simple to do, and, if your shaded stone is about the 1 to 3 gold mark, super cheap investment, perfect for people starting their crafting journey. But this is the first kind of crafting flip that we're going to be talking about, and we're going to move on to the next one. Alright, so the second item that we're going to be going over is flipping ores into bars. Now specifically, I'm going to be using cobalt as this example since it's the easiest ore I believe is able to be flipped. So just real quick, we are going to look up cobalt. And as you can see, just like I talked about previously with the first example, these flips are very occasional. So as you can see currently, this flip will not be worth it. But what this flip is turning cobalt ore into cobalt bars. Now the reason why cobalt is so special is because it is a 1-to-1 ratio. If we go into the menu, as you can see, it takes 1 ore to create 1 bar. So basically, you can make profit as long as your cobalt ore is less than your cobalt bar price, and you do not have to worry about it, being 50% less or anything like that, because it's simply a 1-to-1. If we take a look at the current status of cobalt ore, as you can see, this flip will be very unsuccessful at the moment. However, take a look at our market value. As you can see, our market value is currently 57 gold for our ore, as our bars is at 83 gold. So actually, our cobalt bar price at the moment is cheap, and the ore price is expensive. But if this cobalt ore was back at that 57 mark, and this bar was up to the 83 mark, that is a very nice 30 gold margin that would be awesome for flipping. So, of course, you can do these with any bars, and the good thing about this is if you guys have ever gathered or done any type of old world gathering, then go over to your mining trainer. You can learn how to smelt all of the ores into bars. It's super simple, but you can go through here and just take a look at what's giving you profit, and then you can simply do this flip. For example, this one does require 2 different bars, but buy them both, create them into this bar, and sell them for 600 gold profit. If we take a look, Titan steel, go ahead and buy these Eternals for super cheap, buy some titanium, and then turn them into a Titan steel bar that is worth, 2,000 gold, and that's about a 400 gold profit. So the reason why I talk about cobalt is it is a very fast seller since it's in high demand, and also it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so it's super easy to flip. You don't have to worry about calculating anything. So once again, we're starting off simple, and this is probably the simplest you can be. I still do this to this day. Of course, right now it is not profitable, but hopefully tomorrow or the next day it will be super awesome. But that is it for mining, and we're going to be moving on to tailoring. Alright, so for tailoring, we are going to be talking about bags, but specifically we're going to be talking about 3 different bags that are super easy to craft. Now, I just want to point out real fast that during this recording of this video, I just logged on, and as you can see, I just sold 53 of those sharpening stones. So I sold them for about 850 gold, a little bit less than that, and since I sold 53 times 2, because it's about 2 gold for my crafting cost, that is a simple 106 gold crafting cost, which I turned into about 850 gold. So, that is over a 700 gold profit. Of course, that is nothing insane, but these items sell super fast, so just keep that in mind. For tailoring, I do want to talk about bags. Now, bags is something that has been around forever. Lots of people know about the shrouded cloth and the lightless silk pouches, but I do want to put them on this list since it has been pretty off and on my server. Bags, were a hit at the start, and then as slowly time goes on, I feel like the cloth kind of gets a little bit more expensive, while the bags get a little bit less expensive, and for a long time, these bags were unprofitable. However, I don't know if it was due to reset day or what, but these prices are back up and actually giving me profit once again. Now, these crafting recipes do require a vendor item, but I think that still counts because it's a vendor item and it's generally pretty cheap. And right now, the shrouded cloth bag is bringing about 50 gold profit, while the lightless silk is bringing about 150. So just to keep in mind, this is a simple tailoring Shadowlands item, is these two bags. But the real one that I want to talk about is actually the Legion satchel. So the reason why I want to talk about this is if we look it up, the Silk Weave Satchel is a simple 24-slot bag from Legion, and this bag surprisingly sells very, very fast. Now, on a region sale rate, it actually has a 0.08. However, for some odd reason, these sell super fast on my realm, but you can see my personal sale rate is 0.51. Which is absolutely insane. So of course, you might not see the exact same sale rates on your server, but I highly recommend you give it a shot due to this fast sale rate, at least on my personal server. Now, what you do is you basically go into your auction house. Now, I have this item favorited, which is Shadowlands Silk. By default, I basically buy it anything that's less than a gold, which I actually did before this video, which is in my mailbox right now. Right here, as you can see, I purchased 552 silk for about 528 gold. So that's actually, the silk that is less than 1 gold per silk. So the reason why I do this is because, you need 90 silk in order to create one satchel. So I paid a little bit less than a gold for each silk, which brings my crafting cost to about a little less than 90 gold. Currently, these satchels are selling on my auction house for 150 gold, and that is actually my average sale price is about 162 gold. So these sell super well. So that's going to bring me, about 60 gold profit, of course, after the cut, then maybe 50 to 45 gold profit. So once again, I can do this right now. It takes seconds. I have this item favorited, so just subconsciously, if I see it cheap, I can buy it out. And of course, it's not a ton of gold, but it definitely does add up. So this is, once again, just a simple item. Of course, it is old world, and a lot of people ask, like, why in the world do people buy this item? But people feel comfortable about buying certain bags, even if it's not the most efficient decision. But don't hate it. It sells. Definitely sell this item. So that's what I want to talk about with tailoring, and we're going to be moving on to the next. So moving on, we are now talking about alchemy, and specifically we're talking about the two different oils. So we're talking about the Shadow Core as well as the Embalmer's Oil. So once again, this is a simple Shadowlands recipe, which is learned by just leveling up the profession. Once again, I believe you don't even need to be maxed out, and these are super cheap to make. Despite the vendor item which you have to buy, it only requires 2 Death Blossom, and the profits and the sale rate is pretty high. If we take a look at my current Death Blossom price, it is kind of high on my server, but it's at about 10 gold a piece, and this is actually a little bit more expensive than the market value. But for these oils, it both takes 2 Death Blossom, so, we have about a crafting cost of 20 gold. Now, if we look up both of these on the auction house, as you can see, one is selling for about 32 gold, while the other is selling for a little under 35 gold. So, like I said, both of these have a crafting cost about 20 gold, and that brings us about, 10 gold profit or so after fees, and possibly a little bit more. So yet again, this is a super simple item, kind of like the shaded stones that we talked about earlier. These are just applied to the weapon and gives you a little bit boost of damage, which is why people use these. You can be a part of the PvP, you can be a part of mythics, rating. You can even use these in the Mage Tower currently, which is boosting up those sale rates. These both have a super fast. Of course, the Shadow Core has a little bit higher at a 0.25 than the Embalmers, which is at about a 0.13. But if we want to compare that to, the Spectrals right here, the highest one is at about a 0.18, and the Spectral Flask of Power is at about a 0.19. So the fact that this is at a 0.25 is super, super high, and I highly recommend, if you haven't already, to sell these items. Like I've said previously, because the crafting cost is so cheap, for example, compared to the Spectral Flask of Power, if you want to mass sell these, you need a lot of money for an investment up front due to the fact that the crafting cost is, 350 gold. Now, of course, you are probably bringing in more profit. On my server, they're actually negative at the moment, but generally these bring in more profit per. But for something like this, you only need a 20 gold investment. So if you're only, have 10k, 20k, even 100k, this is a lot more doable and will still bring you some pretty good profit margins for the people who are just starting out. So this is it for alchemy, and we'll be moving on to our last very simple flip. Alright, so moving into leatherworking, which is our last profession, we technically have 2 items on this list, which is turning desolate leather and callous hide into their heavy counterparts. So the reason why this is so profitable is because it saves people time, and it's a very time-consuming process to do. But the good thing is that this is super AFKable, or even better if you have like a side account or a second account, which you can leave running throughout the day. But what I mean by this is super simple, but you just convert 10 desolate leather into a single heavy desolate leather. If we take a look at the auction house, as you can see right here, you can see the different profitable margins. So right now, both of these are actually inflated, so the pricing is not exactly correct. But as you can see, my average smart buy price of desolate leather is about 3.5 gold, and I have about 45,000 of it. My rule is that I just buy it if it's below 4 gold, since my market value is almost reaching 5 gold. Now, heavy desolate has a pretty higher buy price for my average, which is about 45 gold compared to 3.5 gold for my desolate, and the market value is at about a 48 gold, and currently it's reset up to 60. So even myself, as you can see, I purchased heavy desolate leather about 11 hours ago for around that 44 gold mark, and the reason I did that is because I was lazy. I was basically, crafting up 200 of these drums, and if we queue that real quick and set that to 200, as you can see, I need about 600 heavy desolate leather, and if I were to go here and craft my own heavy desolate leather, that will take me about 15 minutes. Now, 15 minutes is not that bad if you have to go do something, if you have to go, eat, or you want to go on a walk, or you have work, something like that. That is simply just for 200 drums. If you're involving heavy desolate kits, or you're involved with legendaries, which is like 50 heavy desolate, as well as callous hide per legendary, then, your use of heavy desolate stacks up, and not everybody is patient enough to sit around and, craft thousands of heavy desolate, because not only do you need a ton of normal desolate, you also need a ton of time. So even myself cut corners if the price is right for me personally, and I will, maybe spend 10 more gold, but it saves me that time. So if you're somebody who can AFK a ton, or you just don't mind waiting it out, you can play a different game, go to work, anything like that, you have school to finish, read a book, something like that, you can sit around and simply craft desolate into heavy desolate, and the same thing goes with callous hide. So like I said before, right now is a pretty bad example since callous hide is so expensive, but about 5 hours ago, I have an average buy price of about 28 gold, which would bring our crafting cost to about 2,800, which would bring our crafting cost to about 280 gold for the heavy callus, and the market value for this item is about a 396. So heavy callus is actually pretty cheap at the moment. There we go. You can see that price difference right there. So if you have a little bit more to invest, you can go the callus route, or you can simply do the heavy desolate leather route. Now, the one thing that I do want to say, so this is just a perfect flip if you're somebody who has a lot of time to invest, and it's super simple. Yet again, it is simply a crafting material. So if you guys are, a gatherer and you've had experience selling Shadowlands materials, you know how fast they sell, and generally you can see that same kind of turnover rate with either the heavy, callus, or desolate leather. But yeah, guys, that is it. That is the 5 items that I wanted to talk about. These so-on-so crafting flips, air quotes. So hopefully this gives you some ideas. Once again, I picked 5 different professions, so hopefully you have at least one of them and can utilize one of these to your advantages. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you haven't already, I highly recommend joining the Discord. That is where you can stay up to date with everything going on, and it is a great community to join to ask any sort of questions or help anybody out if you have some good experience with gold making. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good day.